the state that's home to the Speaker of the House, with the home state of the Republican leader in the Senate. Now, that's just a coincidence. It's purely accidental that that happened. But part of the reason I came here is because Mr. Boehner and Mr. McConnell, those are the two most powerful Republicans in government. They can either kill this jobs bill or they can help pass this jobs bill. And I know these men care about their states, they care about businesses, they care about workers here. I can't imagine that the Speaker wants to represent a state where nearly 1 in 4 bridges are classified as substandard. 1 in 4. I know that when Senator McConnell visited the closed bridge in Kentucky, he said that roads and bridges are not partisan in Washington. That's great. I know that Paul Ryan, the Republican in charge of the budget process, recently said that you can't deny that infrastructure does create jobs. That's what he said. Well, if that's the case, there's no reason for Republicans in Congress to stand in the way of more construction projects. There's no reason to stand in the way of more jobs. Mr. Boehner, Mr. McConnell, help us rebuild this bridge. Help us rebuild America. Help us put construction workers back to work. Pass this bill. Pass the bill. Now, some folks in Congress, they say, well, we don't like how it's paid for. Well, it's paid for as part of my larger plan to pay down our debt. And that plan makes some additional cuts in spending. We already cut $1 trillion in spending. This makes an additional hundreds of billions of dollars in cuts in spending, but it also asks the wealthiest Americans and the biggest corporations to pay their fair share of taxes. Now, that should not be too much to ask. And by the way, it wouldn't kick in until 2013. So when you hear folks saying, oh, we shouldn't be raising taxes right now, nobody's talking about raising taxes right now. We're talking about cutting taxes right now. But it does mean that there's a long-term plan, and part of it involves everybody doing their fair share. Now, this isn't to punish success. What's great about this country is our belief that anybody can make it. If you're willing to put in the sweat, if you're willing to roll up your sleeves, if you're willing to work hard, you've got a good idea, you're out there taking a risk, God bless you. You can make millions, you can make billions of dollars in America. This is the land of opportunity. That's great. All I'm saying is, if you've done well, I've done well, then you should do a little something to give something back. You should want to see the country that provided you with this opportunity to be successful and be able to provide opportunity for the young people who are going to be coming up behind you. And all I'm saying is that everything should be fair. You know, you learn the idea of fairness when you're 2-3 years old.
Good afternoon. It's September the 22nd, Thursday, and we've been following events at the Brent Spence Bridge, a bridge President Obama is touting as the very perfect example to push forward his jobs plan. And our correspondent, Kristen Welker, is there in Cincinnati, and she joins us now. And Kristen, I'm afraid, just in watching this, it's almost like seeing the president as a preacher in a church setting, because the crowd keeps whooping and responding. There are even chants of pass this bill, pass this bill.
Yeah, it's really pretty remarkable, Martin. You're absolutely right. This is relatively new that we've heard the crowd join into this refrain that the president, quite frankly, has been saying ever since he introduced his jobs plan. Today, we hear the crowd multiple times saying, pass this bill. This is really more of a combative President Obama. He is shifting into campaign mode, Martin. You saw him here draw some battle lines between himself and the congressional leaders, House Speaker John Boehner, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Of course, this bridge that he's standing in front of spans both of their home states. President Obama is making the point that if they pass his jobs bill, this bridge will be able to be repaired. But he's also doing something else, Martin. He's painting himself as someone who is a leader in terms of creating jobs, getting infrastructure projects fixed, and trying to paint Republicans as just the opposite. Republicans have been criticizing the president for this trip, saying that he's basically staging a political stunt. And they also point to the fact that this bridge won't be shovel-ready until 2015. I spoke to White House officials about this, and they say, look, that's besides the point. They say the bottom line is we have a number, thousands of these type of infrastructure projects all around the country that need attention immediately, and that's why this jobs bill should be passed. One more note, Martin. Of course, Ohio is a battleground state. It's always sort of at the center of the electoral map. This is the second time that President Obama has been here since announcing his jobs plan 2 weeks ago. So certainly there is a lot of emphasis on this state.
Kristen, this is becoming very, very personal, though, isn't it? I mean, the president's speech, he says, part of the reason I came here is because Mr. Boehner and Mr. McConnell are the two most powerful Republicans in government. They can either kill this jobs bill or they can help us pass it. He's actually accusing them, if they choose not to go with this, of killing this bill.
You're absolutely right. This has become personal. He has called out Republicans by name in this event. We've seen this sort of shift starting this summer, Martin, when he talked about Congress. Then he started to talk about Republicans in Congress. Now he is speaking squarely to congressional leaders. He is drawing a line here, Martin, making the point that he is the person, the president, who can bring about jobs, infrastructure projects, and essentially calling out Republicans for not doing enough. They have a